Here's 18 definitive times that George Lucas included references to the EU in Star Wars Episodes 1 through 3, and stick around for 6 bonus EU Easter eggs seen in the prequel trilogy. But first, like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for all things Star Wars EU. The Star Wars Expanded Universe was the definitive Star Wars canon under George Lucas from 1976 to 2014. George Lucas and the creative team at Lucasfilm were intentional about including references to the Expanded Universe in the Star Wars prequels. Concrete examples from The Phantom Menace include, number 1, the name Coruscant used for the capital of the Republic Empire and later New Republic was coined by Timothy Zahn for the Thrawn trilogy.
Coruscant. The entire planet is one big city.
Lucas developed the idea of an ecumenopolis capital called Had Abaddon and planned to include the planet in Return of the Jedi, but decided to adopt the name created by Zahn for the Imperial Center when presenting the planet in the original trilogy special editions and prequel trilogy. Number 2. The official writing system called Aurebesh that appears in the special editions and prequels is the one created for West End Games by Stephen Crane. Lucas used this system as a way of putting accurate descriptors and even Hollywood Easter eggs into the movies using a fictional writing system. 3. The Jedi Code is first mentioned on screen in The Phantom Menace, however it first appeared in West End Games Star Wars The Role-Playing Game. 4. The name Boonta Eve Classic resembles the Boonta Speeder race from the Droids episode A Race to the Finish. This is one of the many EU inclusions from the show. Ben Burtt, the sound designer from the original trilogy and prequels, was also the lead story editor and was heavily involved in the scripts of the Droids TV show and seemed to have had George Lucas's ear while working on the prequels to include such references. Other references from the show Droids that were featured in The Phantom Menace include Toong, the species of Benquadraneros, was mentioned in Droids, while his homeworld, Tund, was first mentioned in Lando Calrissian Adventures and appeared in that trilogy's final volume, Lando Calrissian and the Star Cave of Thon-Baka. 6. Additionally, Ben Burtt himself made a cameo in The Phantom Menace as Eben Q3 Baobab. This character is likely a member of the Baobab family introduced in Star Wars Droids. The cameo from the legendary sound designer Ben Burtt intentionally chose the name to link his character to the show. EU references were also in Attack of the Clones. Number 7. Aayla Secura appeared as a minor character in the movies played by Amy Allen. The character was introduced in the comic Republic Twilight, released after The Phantom Menace but before Attack of the Clones. George Lucas liked her illustration in a cover art for one of the comics and decided to include her character in live action. She would also later appear in Revenge of the Sith. 8. Action 6 transports, the same ship as the Wild Card, were introduced in Heir to the Empire. The same model ship also arrives at the Theed spaceport alongside Anakin and Padme in Attack of the Clones. 9. The planet Rishi, introduced in Dark Force Rising, was given a mention via the Rishi Maze in Attack of the Clones.
I see about 12 parsecs outside the Rishi Maze.
10.
I was recruited by a man called Tyrannus on one of the moons of Bogdan.
The swamp planet of Bogdan that was mentioned by Jango Fett first appeared in the Droids episode The Revenge of Kylo Ren. 11. Luminara Unduli and Barriss Offee, 2 of the Jedi sent to rescue Anakin Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Padme Amidala on Geonosis, were first introduced to the audience in the novels Cloak of Deception by James Luceno and also in The Approaching Storm by Alan Dean Foster, before receiving screen cameos in Attack of the Clones and also Revenge of the Sith. 12. Son Hill, the Banking Clan representative at the Separatist Council on Geonosis, is identified as a Mun from Munilinst, a planet first mentioned in Spectre of the Past by Timothy Zahn, the first book of the Hand of Thrawn duology. Munilinst was identified in that book as being a hub of intergalactic banking, a trait that Lucas himself included in portraying Muns through the characters like Son Hill. And moving on to Revenge of the Sith, number 13.
Seleucus has fallen, and Master Voss has moved his troops to Bos Pitti.
The EU character Quinlan Vos, first introduced in the Republic comics, is mentioned as Master Vos by Obi-Wan Kenobi in one of the Jedi Temple's many data rooms. Quinlan Vos, who originated in the comics, in turn was based on a background extra at the Mos Espa Cafe in The Phantom Menace. A cameo of Quinlan Vos during the execution of Order 66 was planned but not filmed. However, the same previs sequence was later seen on the page in the Republic comics depiction of Order 66. 14. Additionally, when Obi-Wan mentions that Seleucus has fallen, he is referring to the Siege of Seleucus, which was depicted in the Republic comics prior to the movie's release. 15. And likewise, Bos Pitti, the planet Quinlan Vos is said to have moved his troops to afterwards, is where we find Quinlan Vos next in the Republic comics before he heads to Kashyyyk. 16. During Order 66, we see Aayla Secura killed on the planet Felucia. Felucia was introduced in the EU in Star Wars Droids when C-3PO refers to a species of the planet called a Felucian bat.
It's all right for you. You can just hang there like a magnetic Venusian bat.
Thanks to Auditect for pointing this out to me. 17. Also during this sequence, we see Clone Commander Bly, who served with Aayla Secura and was introduced in Republic issue 65. George Lucas chose to include his comic book armor design and color scheme into Bly's appearance during Order 66. 18. Sui Choi, a Jedi Master also from the Republic comics, appears in the beginning of the introduction to Kashyyyk scene riding a cancel. These are evidences that Lucas was aware of the story playing out in the Republic comics and made an effort to include references to it in Revenge of the Sith. Here are 6 other bonus Easter eggs to the EU mentioned in the prequels. Bonus number 1. Prince Xizor, first introduced in Shadows of the Empire, appears as a spectator at the Mos Espa Grand Arena. In addition to thousands of Q-tips, Micro Machines models were placed in less densely populated sections such as stairs and box seats. This Shadows of the Empire villain was included by the ILM model team. Xizor would have been older than 68 at this time, having been born over 100 years before the Battle of Yavin per the Essential Guide to Characters. Bonus number 2. Darth Maul's double-bladed lightsaber was a design originally seen wielded by Exar Kun in the Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, Dark Lords of the Sith, and Tales of the Jedi The Sith War comic books. George Lucas had read the story outlines for Tales of the Jedi as evidenced by quotes from Kevin J. Anderson and Tom Veach, and would later have seen the design, which very well may have inspired him to take Maul's weapon in the same direction. Bonus number 3. Electrum, the bright gold plating of Mace Windu's lightsaber hilt, was first introduced in the Shadows of the Empire sourcebook and in Planet of Twilight, as an added symbol signifying lightsaber mastery. Darth Sidious's lightsaber in Revenge of the Sith would later also be seen to have Electrum plating. Bonus number 4. The 501st Legion was canonized in Survivor's Quest before being included in Revenge of the Sith. In real life, it is a charity organization founded in 1997, being therefore also a fanon element that made its way into the official continuity. Bonus number 5. The relief visible in Palpatine's office, seen in Revenge of the Sith, is identified as a frieze depicting the Great Hyperspace War, which takes place during the Tales of the Jedi comics. Bonus number 6. In Revenge of the Sith, Padme Amidala says,
"This war represents a failure to listen. Now you're closer to the Chancellor than anyone. Please, ask him to stop the fighting and let diplomacy resume."
The character Mira says the same sentence in Jedi Mace Windu, which released prior to Revenge of the Sith. This may be a piece of dialogue Lucas borrowed from the comic to include in the movie. All this points to the facts that while making the prequels, George Lucas told the story he wanted to tell, but pulled many ideas, characters, names, planets, and other concepts from the vast library of source material the EU had to offer that Lucasfilm was creating in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s. And for an EU fan, it's cool and incredibly rewarding to see elements from the EU make their way into the saga movies. But what do you think? Which EU reference was your favorite? Are there any that I missed? Let me know in the comments. And if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe, and check out the incredibly cool work on our Shadows of the Empire animated fan film. If you want to support the channel and become a member on Patreon, where you can currently see early drafts, previs, and first to know updates on the project, consider becoming a member today. Thank you for watching, and may the Force be with you.